All right, not us doing a podcast in LA's historic heat wave
Oh
of
my gosh.
March.
I said the only person that I'm coming out to do this podcast in a heat wave is for you. So this is your honor.
Let's do it.
In the middle of a park, sweating. You might see some sweat beads falling off my
Yeah, we'll be
forehead,
doing
but
some forehead dabbing, but
yeah,
it's all good.
definitely. I might be taking one of them to fan myself off earlier.
It's 94 degrees. It's Roysdon, right?
Royston, yeah.
Royston.
Damn, asking me on the spot.
I know. Paul Roysdon, welcome
I
to the
am.
Chronic Couch.
I'm excited to be here. I've been like such a supporter and
I know you
advocate for
have.
you to be, putting yourself out there and doing this. I was like, I don't do many podcasts, but for you, we go way back. I'm like,
I know,
let's
how
do it.
cool is this?
I know. That's why I'm like, we've come a long way. There's no one else I would sweat in the middle of a park for other than you.
It's pretty wild. So we're gonna talk about some really cool stuff. You being a bomb reality TV producer,
Thank you. I will take the compliment.
our time at E
Yes.
together, and your latest venture, successful venture, may I add.
Period.
Hold on, I'm calling my mom.
I love it.
Your
Keep hyping me
podcast.
up. Keep hyping me up.
And then we're going to delve into some more serious topics like your relationship with your parent who is somewhat distant in your life.
Yes.
And hopefully we can help some people spread the love. So
All about it. I'm like, you tell me where you want to start. I
You
could
ready?
talk to you all day. if
I
you
know,
want me
that's
to.
why
So
you're
I'm like,
here.
we got to put a cap on the time limit of how long we can talk for today. So
let's go back to your journey. What did your journey look like en route to Hollywood?
yeah, well, I mean, so it's funny because I met you at E. That was like my dream job of moving all the way from New Jersey to, work in Hollywood. And to me, I grew up with like the E News days of like Juliana Rancic and Ryan Seacrest, and I watched Chelsea Lately, and to me that just like embodied so much of like what true Hollywood was, right? At the time it was very like kind of pop culture tabloid energy. So I was like, I am moving out to LA. I had no idea what my plan was going to be, but I knew I wanted to be of substance in somebody. And I was like, E News, I'm going to work at E News. So I had the opportunity to work for Emmys in 2016 from live from the red carpet. And I was like, I'll be damned if I move all the way across the country to take this gig and I don't get inside like the E newsroom. So I ended up finessing my way. I met somebody, and long story short, ended up working for Daily Pop, which was I would say maybe a short-lived daytime show that E had on there. Yeah.
Did you ever pull the, oh yeah, I live in LA, but then you hurry up and you book a ticket?
Oh yeah, well, so that was the thing. Like when people like myself, like before you really know like where, how you can get in or where you can start at, you're like, I'm just reaching out to people that I know that are in Hollywood doing what I want to do. And, the first thing people always asked when I was still back in Philly were like, are you in LA? Are you in LA? And I was like, oh, like I actually have to be out there for people to like want to take a chance on me to say, oh, we'll give him a shot. So luckily, I didn't have to do that. The person who gave me my first opportunity pretty much was like, hey, you have 2 weeks to move out here. And my mom was like, you're doing it. We're going to figure it out. I had a cousin that lived like all the way down in San Diego. And, naive me was like, oh, Google Maps says it's going to be an hour and 20 minutes. I can do that. And it was like 3 hours there, 3 hours back. But I like to believe it builds character, right? Here we are. So
Here we are.
did something.
I actually, when I first interviewed with E, I also was kind of mesmerized by E, maybe a little differently than you. I was, watching American Idol, and that's how I discovered Ryan Seacrest, and that's kind of how that trickled down. But when I first interviewed with E in 2015, so September 2017 is when I started at E.
Okay.
And so you had already been there for about a year?
Yeah. I remember I was like, Eric was coming in. He was doing backflips for us in the Daily Pop floor. We'd be like, it would be like 5 a.m. We'd be like, Eric, do a backflip for us.
Now look at me.
Yeah. Well, so I was like, I mean, yeah, I was like, look, I mean, you're having a platform and talking about those type of things, right? But you kept it very lively. But yeah, we met. You sat literally right across from me. I think I might have even like trained you, or like, they would kind of just throw you into the wolves. So I don't know how much training you got, but I feel like we helped each other out at some degree.
And your birthday's September 17th, and I'm the 16th.
Exactly, because we're Virgos. That's where we linked up. I felt the energy, so we were connected from jump.
Yeah, we synced up.
Yeah.
Okay, and how long were you at E?
I was at E for Daily Pop specifically. I was there for like a year and a half, 2 years, and then I still do like E's live from the red carpet coverage, just because that was my first job, and I love my boss that I do that for. So,
and you're so good at it.
Thank you. It's just fun to be like on the carpet and kind of see, that in real time. But for E News specifically, I was there for a year and a half. But the live from the red carpet show, it's going on almost a decade, which is crazy. Yeah.
And
I'm old.
We're old.
Yeah, I'm
we're
old
33.
and washed up now.
And you went from E to reality TV.
Yes.
What propelled that jump decision? Did it fall into your lap? Which I'm highly doubtful it did, because you got to hustle and grind out here. How did that go about?
That would have made my life so much easier if that was the case. If I could just like have it fall in my lap. I'm still waiting for that moment out here that would happen to me. I took a chance, and I was feeling kind of like, I still had more to do. I was at, Daily Pop for like a year and a half, and I was like, okay, I want change. I'm not getting promoted. I've always loved E because they had always done coverage on like pop culture, but also like reality TV stuff. And I always loved reality TV. That's what I grew up watching too. So I left there, and I had like this short stint on like a post show, or like a show that was supposed to promote like Lindsay Lohan's like short-lived reality TV show. And I worked on it only for like 8 weeks, maybe, if that. And then I'm thinking, okay, like I'm in TV. I got that credit now. I was like an associate producer, and I'm like, oh, these things are going to start like coming in. And it was like crickets. Like I didn't get any work. It was like 3 months. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you think the TV world is like, just everybody's tied together and you can go from one job to another, but working in entertainment news to reality is completely different. So
How so?
Because your connections are like all, I would say, like entertainment media outlets, right? So if you work at like E! News, you most likely know somebody at like Access or Extra, TMZ. But if you work in reality TV, then you start to know people from production companies and networks and who works on shows. So as much as I naively thought that like I could make a transition as easy as that, it wasn't that easy. So after that show, I probably went like 3 months maybe of like not working. And I remember like calling my mom up all the time and just being like, oh my gosh, like what did I do? And then somehow I finessed my way by a connection to work on Vanderpump Rules. And that was like the first reality TV credit under my belt. And I was proud of that because that was such a big show. And it felt like, okay, if I'm leaving something behind that I really love, this feels like it was worth doing it because it could open up so many more doors for me.
What do you think about the new cast, Vanderpump Rules?
I feel like it's smart in the sense of, we got to keep the machine going, right? Like if it's, I personally feel like it's a whole new cast that you got to get like invested in and really want to get to know them. But it's smart because I think like, when you start watching shows like that, you recognize kind of what the formula is that makes the show successful. So for me, I'm like, oh, what Vanderpump Rules is. You'll watch it just because you love, what you grew up watching. But yeah, I think that's what's going to happen to a lot of shows like that. It's like when that's built in there, you know what you're watching and what you're going to get out of the show at this point,
I actually did not watch Vanderpump Rules until COVID.
Okay.
A friend convinced me to watch it, and I was hooked, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna watch season 12.
Oh,
and it took me 8 episodes
to fully
get engaged.
You went like, okay, that's funny. A lot of people, I did that with Drag Race when I was in the pandemic. I was like, what's a show that I've never watched that I need to start from scratch? That was like my
Drag Race.
Yeah,
is that RuPaul?
RuPaul's Drag Race. Yeah.
Oh
come
yeah.
on, you got it. Acting like he's never heard it before.
I don't know. I didn't know if that was like a spin-off of
like,
RuPaul.
No, I mean there's tons, but yes, I watched like the OG American version of RuPaul's Drag Race, and that was like a deep dive. But yeah, I know a lot of people that got into Vanderpump Rules during the pandemic.
Okay, what was it like working on Vanderpump Rules? And which castmates did you work the most with?
I worked on segment, so like segment producing for people who don't know what that is. It's like the people who clear locations, who are the ones that, like, when you see them eating at a restaurant, they're the ones that are planning out, the crew's getting in there, when the cast is getting in there. So you don't have necessarily a lot of interaction with the talent, but I loved working on Vanderpump Rules because to me it was super rewarding, because I was a kid who didn't have a reality TV background, and they took a chance on me to come in and kind of prove myself, so to say, of working my way up the chain and showing them why I had to be there. So I just felt like after the season, learning the ins and outs from like cast trips to coordinating how things can fall through the crack. Like I'll never forget like my first location I had to clear, which is like getting them to show up in their filming. The crew went to the wrong location, and that was like mine, and I remember being like, oh shit, that's like,
oh, that come down on you.
Well, yeah, I'm like, that's like the worst thing in the world, right? Like you clear a location, it's your first time to prove yourself, and there's a hiccup, but like luckily it was a chain restaurant, so they were able to like make it work. But things like that, like I would have never even realized if I didn't do that show, like that would even be in the realm of possibility, that those mishaps happen sometimes, and you just gotta think on your feet.
Roll with it, go quick, think fast.
Exactly.
Okay, so Vanderpump Rules, and then you've done some Housewives.
Yeah, I've done Real Housewives of Dallas, Orange County, Beverly Hills, Rhode Island, and that's like always been really fun for me, just because I grew up like loving Housewives and being able to like work on different variations of it, from like talent producer to field to casting and development. It was really fun to be able to like have all those different roles, because you get to see literally how everything fully comes together to make those shows happen. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're going to talk about your award show experience, but I would say, as an outsider looking in, the majority of your work here in Hollywood has been TV stars.
Yes.
So when you're on the red carpet, you're seeing movie stars.
Yes.
Do you notice different treatment between TV stars and movie stars? Because there were, like Taylor Frankie Paul, obviously she's going through some stuff right now, but rewinding back to Oscars before stuff broke this week, mm-hmm. Are people like her, hosting the Oscars? Like, are they getting different treatment than like when Leo walks by, or is it just like Leo's so A-list that he just?
Well, this is like my favorite thing. I just posted about this on Instagram and TikTok, that I was like, you put me in a room on like the Oscars, like I could walk past like Leonardo DiCaprio, Tiana Taylor, Reese Witherspoon, like I love all of them, but like I'm more excited to meet like the reality TV star that's there, that's like hosting, someone like that. Like Bronwyn Newport was like who I worked with, and I was like, oh, to me this is the person that I'm more excited about than a movie star. But I think in terms of like treatment, or like how they perform in terms of like a reality TV star and influencer as opposed to an actor, I think it's more of like good publicity and promotion, because I think now we live in such a different time where it's like that A-list Hollywood star isn't what it used to be, in my opinion.
For sure.
Like, you don't really come across like a Leo or a Brad or a Denzel. Like, you get people like Michael B. Jordan and Timothy. They're definitely like making names for themselves, but that role of like a Hollywood star just isn't the same. So I think because reality TV is so prevalent in like society and in pop culture, it only makes sense to put those people in platforms now and incorporate that, because it just expands that type of audience across things. Like, if the ratings and Oscars aren't doing good, it's like, how do we throw it, people in there and freshen it up to make it more appealing to like a younger audience or a different audience?
Well, look at the Super Bowl. I mean, you have Alex Earl.
Yeah, that was dancing with that. I know. I was
on
like,
the face of Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime performance.
Halftime show. I was trying to figure that out too. I still am quite sure of why, but I'm assuming there's like a management tie of like someone must rep both of them, and it was good exposure. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, in 2023, Bethany Frankel spearheaded this reality reckoning.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any insight on that? And if you're not able to disclose, what are your thoughts on that? And even like within the past month, she's she went on to say that Rachel Zoe on Beverly Hills exploited her kids because they talked about divorce on camera. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think with that, it's to me at this point, like when you are approached and, in talks to join something like that, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into to some degree. Obviously, it's going to be very different when you have lived experience and you've gone through it to know, like, oh, this is what it actually entails. But I think it's kind of not that it makes, bad things happen on set or whatever people's stories may be, doesn't negate that. But I think it to me is like, there's so much out there now to know, like, with there's good, there's a lot of bad, meaning like, if you're somebody that's got a lot of skeletons in their closet, if you're somebody who's not forthcoming, if you're somebody who, isn't willing to go there and put your whole life out there, which is a specific type of person that has to be really good at that. I think, it's something to be cautious about because I don't think anybody's programmed to wake up one day and be ready to have cameras and producers and all those things, become a part of your lifestyle. But I think I think the person who signs up for it has to be very prepared and aware of what they are knowing that they're going to do.
Tyra Banks did a controversial
Yes.
documentary.
Yes, I watched.
I did not watch it, but I'm hearing maybe she did it perhaps to cover her ass, or Tyra fans say she just did it to
Show face.
yeah. and not rewrite history, but talk about history. Do you think there's a culture now where these reality shows are being exposed, or do you think these big companies or entertainment mediums like Bravo, they have no choice but to kind of not tell the truth, but just be like, yeah, times were different and we're doing our best to move forward in a positive direction? And
well, I think everything I think everything always comes back around, right? Like, I think, we live, even myself included, I love a good Netflix documentary or Max documentary where it's like a deep dive into something that we've grown up with. It's like, I think they even had one on, goddamn Mr. Rogers at this point, like they're, they're doing everybody out here. But I think my thing with that is, I believe that there's just going to be more and more of that. But like, I know they're already working on a documentary for Hulu that's about the Swan, which was the reality show where they
makeovers, right?
Yeah, essentially, you're not pretty enough. How do you want to be pretty? We're going to turn you into an ugly duckling to a beautiful swan, right? I'm sure getting plastic surgery on a television show
in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, that's a lot for somebody to unpack, and physically and emotionally, mentally. So yeah, I just think we live in a world now where, we hold people accountable, rightfully so. And I think there'll just be more of that, because when you hear those names of America's Next Top Model, like even myself as a little gay boy, I'm like, oh yeah, I watched it. I know all the girls. I want to see what the behind the scenes actually was, because I loved it growing up, and you just want to consume that type of stuff. So as much as we love to see, the celebration or the success of those shows, we also like to see like the bad side of it, because I think it's life. Like, you want to know who people are, right? You want to see the good stuff. You want to see the good stuff. You want to see the bad stuff, and you want to see, how the sausage is made, if you will.
I feel like shows breaking the fourth wall has been probably the best, most transparent thing.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it, because I think at this point in age in 2026, I'm like, we know it's a job. We know you got to work to keep your job. We know you got to clock in to keep your job. We know you're getting a paycheck. So I'm like, I feel like it's just especially social media, I feel like that has a lot to do with it, right? Because it's allowed us to see behind the curtain more with people, because they can showcase like more intimate type of conversations or visuals and stuff that we would never see back in the day from like, celebrities. So I think that has now, as a society, made us be like, oh, we want to see more. So yeah, for me, I feel like it's just very much, fourth wall is about true transparency. I just like it because I think like, yeah, I want to know. They know it's a show, like a job. So why are we beating around the bush at this point, you know?
Shifting gears to award shows.
Yes.
What is a typical rundown of an award show? And first, you do Oscars, you do Globes,
So I do
basically anything that E covers?
Yeah, so E's Live from the Red Carpet show, which I grew up watching, obviously iconic with like Joan Rivers, and you know, Ryan Seacrest, Juliana Rancic, all that good stuff. So what we do specifically, or what I do, is like I work on the talent side. So, you know, you get people that come in who are E-talent, or you get people that are in the, I would like to say, the NBC umbrella, right? And they come in and we work with them, and you know, it's a lot of moving pieces. If you've never done something like that, right, it's very overwhelming because you are going from, you know, platform 1 to platform 2, or you're doing live from the countdown show, or you're doing after party, and you know, it looks very like polished and tight and condensed. But like when you work for the Grammys, example, you know, you're on the carpet, there's a after party that's happening all the way behind it at the convention center downtown. You know, the carpet is like yards away. So yeah, it's a lot of happening. But I would say, I guess the breakdown is the 3 different shows. It's either, you know, LFE, it's Live from the Red Carpet, they do their after party. So it's just like a lot of getting to see the stars, you know, that old school like limo drop. We're getting to see it in real time. And they've even changed a lot too, of like switching it up and changing it, just because I feel like, you know, everybody used to watch those shows live, and now it's like we see pictures and videos on social media. So it's like, how do you keep up with that, you know, programming when you're already seeing it before they even post about it themselves, you know?
Yeah. Someone who's never stepped foot on a red carpet, what's something that you can say or tell that they would never expect? Like a viewer in Oklahoma.
A viewer in
or Georgia.
That I feel like I mean, it is glamorous, right? And when you're the star on the show and you're walking the red carpet, there are glamorous elements. I mean, you know, you are having a whole team to get you dolled up and, you know, making you look the part and be the movie star that you are. But when you're working as someone like myself, like, you know, I get my little 10-second photo on the red carpet and I post that, and, you know, people are like, wow, you're at the red carpet. But it's like, you know, I've got swamp ass from carrying this from here. You know, I'm like bringing in a celebrity's like luggage and making sure I'm bringing it in their room and they have everything that they need and they're prepared, and, you know, they have a whole team in themselves that I'm making sure, you know, are able to get into their room, or, you know, have access to the carpet, or, you know, the carpet in itself. Like I always say, it's so condensed and it's thorough, but when you have all those bodies and people and photographers and celebrities, it's just like, it can be a shit show because there's just so many, it's so overstimulating. And I think, like, you know, when you're a celebrity and you're posing, paparazzi are yelling your name and, you know, they want your attention. But when you're
Paul,
no one's doing that for me. No one's doing that for me. So I think that's kind of maybe like the misconception, right? But I mean, I love it because it's like, yeah, in your lifetime you get to say that you're there, but very different from the people who are the stars and very different from the people who are actually working it.
At this most recent Oscars, any crazy moments besides Teyana Taylor? We're gonna get to that in a second.
Yeah, I just had Elle Fanning's mom. I feel like I can say this because she was kind of saying it out loud. This is where I texted my mom and I was like, Mom, this, like, celebrities' moms are just like us, because it was show day and I was like sitting in the lobby of the Roosevelt, where a lot of people stay to get ready because it's so convenient to where the Oscars actually take place. And her mom came in and was like having such a difficult time valeting at the hotel. And she came in and name dropped that she was Elle Fanning's mom. And she's like, I need to get this dress.
Like, here are my keys.
And like almost I locked eyes with her and I felt so much compassion for her, because I was like, she clearly is distressed and needs to get this dress to her daughter. But they were like giving her a hard time about valeting there. And she was like, you know, name dropping, like she needed to get this there. And I was like, wow, how crazy is it that Elle Fanning's mom and Dakota Fanning's mom is the one who is the middleman, who is in charge of getting her dress, her belongings to this mega superstar on the day of like a red carpet. Like usually you have like a whole team, so I'm assuming her mom is very involved, but
She trusts her mom, maybe.
yeah, I love it. But I was like, wow, like even, their mom is having a hard time to ballet and is name dropping. Like,
Was she in a flashy car?
I didn't get to see because she came into the lobby, but I was just like, that's tough. If like, I think my mom, I'm making her do something crazy or I'm giving her a hard time, I'm like, well, Elle Fanning wanted her dress and her mom was going through it that day. So stars they're just like us. Yeah.
Were you there for the Teyana Taylor?
No, but I did see that. Security can be like extra, but like I go back and forth. Like sometimes you get people who are like, mall cops, no shade, but like, they're just there and they want to like stick their chest out and it's like their moment to be able to like speak and have authoritative power in some degree, right? But then also on the other hand, like you do need that because like you do have a lot of important people in one room or one place and it is chaotic. So I get both sides of it, but like somebody putting hands on somebody, no, there's no need for that.
Are you present during red carpet? Like, I know you're on the red carpet.
Mm-hmm.
Are you present for like when celebrities are getting their photos taken?
Yeah, I have been in the past. This time around, I was not, but I have in the past. And the thing with that too is like I would say Oscars is probably the most strict award show out of all of them, just because I think it's the Academy Awards. It's just like so prestigious, but they limit, even for a lot of news outlets, like they limit how many people, like, at other shows I've worked, like they get very big, grandiose stages and platforms and they have multiple ones, but Oscars, you're like elbow to elbow right next to everybody else and it's pretty tight and not a lot of movement, if you will.
It's interesting because while you're on that side, I'm on the other side working the Oscars, combing through the hundreds and hundreds of photos and the footage. And on the note of Teyana Taylor, I always go back to when Chappell Rowan called out the photographers at the 2024 VMAs, saying basically back the F up.
Yeah.
And I think it's great seeing since then. And then after that, Sabrina Carpenter was on the carpet and she shouted out Chappell Rowan because she was like, oh my God, these photographers are so quiet this year. Chappell must have...
Because she set the tone, she set boundaries. That's what I think happens to somebody else, just somebody who is a news reporter, an e-talent that I've worked with. They were on a podcast and I listened to it and they were saying just how different the red carpet, I feel the shift in how different the red carpet is. It's like, usually like your biggest stars, they don't come in till the very end most of the time. Like, when you're doing Grammys, especially like you're getting those Taylor Swift, Miley Cyrus, Beyonce moments, Gaga, like they're coming right at the tail end. You're lucky if you even get to see them. And I think that's the difference with how things are now, because back in the day it was a little bit more like you would look forward to seeing them there and maybe getting a bite or two, but it's almost like they don't want to talk at all. And I think that's why we've started incorporating more like influencers and other outside people, because they're the ones that are more willing to speak on things. But it's really interesting how much has changed in the last couple of years.
You said the run-in with Elle Fanning's mom.
Yeah.
Is there any other funny, awkward moment similar to that with a different celebrity?
Oh yeah, I've had tons. I've had an Emmy winner asked me for $10 when I've been
Notice how he said Emmy winner. He's not going to drop the name.
No,
he's got to protect himself.
I'm never going to drop the name, but I had somebody ask me for $10, which was crazy because I'm thinking, I'm lucky I walk out of here with like a free breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I mean this person has more power and stature than I do, and they're asking me for money. I've had people, like they're humans, right? Like someone has a bad day, like say a stylist is late, which has happened, and like a celebrity I was excited to work with, kind of like slammed the door in my face as I was there to like get them ready to bring them where they needed to go. But in hindsight, it was because somebody on their team was late and they're human and they took it out on me, and it probably wasn't intentional. But yeah, you get things a lot like that. I mean, for me, I look forward when I meet somebody and I have such a genuine connection with them, because those are the most important to me, because like I grew up watching this stuff. So when I meet somebody who's like fully engaged and present. Like I always say, Kristen Cavallari was always like my favorite to work with because she was always so kind and like professional, on time, like was just really not about like, you know, having an excessive amount of people. Those are like the people that I'm like, oh,
Yeah, she seems very...
yeah, I always have loved working with her and her team. So yeah, moments like that are special, but on the other hand, like everything, like I was saying, even about these shows, right? Like you get these documentaries where you get the bad side of it, you get the celebrities who I like to believe sometimes take these opportunities for granted, or they're jaded, or they have an obligation to do them and they really don't want to be there. And I feel like you can feel that through their energy. It's palpable.
Paul has an episode called Hollywood Horror Stories, so make sure to check that out. I've tried to pry some info from him just now, and we got some, but he probably is spilling more tea with his mom. We're gonna talk more about your podcast in a second.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about your career and, you know, this Hollywood hustle. What's the biggest, and we've had two very different trajectories and routes that we've taken, but I'm sure we can relate on some of the biggest misconceptions. What to you is the biggest misconception about working in Hollywood? Like something maybe like that you thought like before you moved here, and then like or your biggest takeaways.
Yeah, the biggest misconception for me, I feel like, is the biggest one probably is I kind of felt
Here's
like,
your fan.
oh, thank you, I love this. I was like, we're gonna promote it while we fan myself. I have felt like, you know, for somebody like me who was hungry to be here, ambitious, a go-getter, I was never afraid to put myself out there. Feel like you know, people would have recognized that and see the talent in me or my ability to do things, and you know, somebody would kind of just take you under their wing and help you out. And that's not really the case. I mean, like, I feel like the bar is always constantly moving, and it's very like, if you want something, you're never just going to get handed it. Like I would expect maybe at one point, like, people are just going to like my personality and maybe they'll want to put me on TV. No one's just going to come to me and say, hey kid, you want to be on TV? Like, it doesn't work that way anymore. And it's like, you, like what you're doing now with this, it's like you have to put yourself out in some type of medium or platform, or create something to show what your skills are, what you're capable of doing, how you produce yourself and promote yourself. And that's just like such an important lesson, because I feel like the days of people getting discovered at a mall or, you know, it's just not how it is. You go on a reality show, I think this is the smartest thing nowadays, because you are getting an automatic fan base. You can use it to leverage your career in such a different way. You can make so much money in brand deals and things like that. But that, to me personally, is the misconception that you are just going to get seen for being you, and like someone's just going to hand you something. Like, that's just never going to happen.
Someone who's watching or listening who has a dream to move out here and do this thing.
Do it.
Do it?
Do it, of course, yeah. I feel, I look at it this way, especially today. I feel like the needle of like expectations and goals will always forever move. Like, what I've done recently is now something that like 17-year-old me would be like so proud of, but I'm still like, well, I want to do more, because now I'm an adult and I'm in my early 30s, and my goals and my ambition has completely changed from when I was a teenager.
For sure.
You know, but look how much time it's taken for those teenage things to come to light. So I feel like, yeah, take the chance and do it. I always feel like closed mouth doesn't get fed. You gotta speak up for yourself, be your own advocate, and take the chance, because to me, it's like better off than sitting somewhere being miserable and doing something you never want to do.
It's funny because those things that Paul just listed off, especially be your own advocate, I was always kind of told that. I have family in the industry. My uncle is a cameraman for like Watch What Happens Live.
Okay, nepotism. No, I'm just kidding.
Paul. And he always would say those things.
Yeah.
And
well, because he probably knows firsthand, like, you know, what it's like to get in a room and how to like really get himself to be seen, and for him to even work somewhere like that, like, you got to put yourself out there. No one's just gonna like hand you that. And I feel like every job I've ever had is because I've wanted to work there specifically, and I've had to like put pieces of a puzzle together of saying like, this is what I've done, how can I now take those things to help me get to the next point, right? And I think that's really important.
The thing that's helped me the most, and especially within the past year, and especially given my injuries that I've been kind of navigating, is writing things down, like on the mirror.
Oh yeah,
Could
I
be
like
words, it could be words of affirmation, it could be goals, if you want to call it manifesting.
I love that.
Call it that.
I'm all about a manifestation. That's the only reason that I feel like I've gotten where I've been in life is because I would say it out loud, and I always say, like, I say it like it's happened already. That's why I'm like, I work the red carpet and I'm like bottom of the totem pole, you know, to some degree, but I'm going there like I'm getting an award myself. I'm dressing the part. I'm putting myself out there. I'm having my moment. I'm taking it all in, and I feel like it's all about what you put out is what you receive. I'm very big on that. I feel like the only reason I've gotten as far as I have, other than like my own ambition, has been because I put it out there. I'm such a big believer of like energy, you know, karma, and how I know so many people, I know you do, that like are not good people, and I always believe those things like come to light and come back tenfold for people who don't treat people well in a work environment. That is very important to me.
I will say too, that something that I learned is how cutthroat this industry can be and how mean people can be.
Yeah.
But I will say that you can get the job done being nice and forgiving.
Absolutely.
And it'll make everyone's lives around you so much easier.
Yes.
So
reputation goes such a long way. And I just look at it this way, like, why would I move 3,000 miles away from where I grew up to work somewhere that I've dreamt up to be a miserable, mean person? Like, why? Like, what am I getting out of that? And at the end of the day, it's really not that deep and serious. And I mean, it's a job, but I think there is a way to like have an attitude that makes, like, I'd rather be not great at my job and have a great attitude than be really good at my job and be an asshole, you know? Like, that to me is where I draw the line at that. And I always tell people that I would now as an adult, like if I had to manage other people, I wouldn't care if they were bad at their job, as long as they were willing to like sink their teeth in and they were kind. I'm like, perfect, bring that person on.
E-News, Vanderpump Rules, Housewives.
Period.
Hold on, I'm calling my mom.
Yes, that's my favorite.
And it's epic. Paul's podcast
Thanks.
With his mom. How did that come about?
It came about because I was feeling like I was checking things off my box of what I really wanted to do in my life. And I was like, oh, okay, there's still something missing. I'm not feeling quite fulfilled as I thought I would by checking those things off my box. And I was kind of like yearning for like me to like showcase who I am and like tell my stories, because I feel like what I'm good at in real life is connecting with people and like understanding them. I love my mom so much. She's my best friend, and I've called her like throughout my lifetime, especially the 10 years almost that I've lived in LA, of like every possible situation, whether it's been like hookups, you know, breakups, relationships, Emmy winners asking me for $10 at a red carpet. Like, she's the first person I'm calling. And I'm like, we need to create something where I can like catalog all these conversations and do that. And honestly, I felt like working in casting really like awakened me into like wanting to pursue that, because
And that's what you're doing now, right?
Yeah. Because there's so many people like that you meet and they tell you their stories, which I love, you know, when people open up and trust me enough to go there. But sometimes I'm like, oh, like this person's story isn't maybe as like more compelling than my own. Like, why am I selling myself short and not putting my stories out there? It might help somebody, right? And at the end of the day, I feel like working in Hollywood, I'm a storyteller. I want to tell stories. So that is how Hold On, I'm Calling My Mom has come about.
And your mom's a nurse?
My mom's a nurse, yeah.
And after how many years or months of you shooting a podcast virtually, long distance, cross country, right? Philly?
New Jersey, yeah, Philly,
New
yeah.
Jersey. How much time went by before you convinced your mom to move to Los Angeles?
Oh, yeah. So my mom, I always knew she'd be the mom who would follow her kids wherever they went. My brother wants to move to California, and my mom also wants to too. But
I thought she was here.
no, not yet. They're this year. This year it's happening.
But she came and she like.
Oh
scoped
yeah,
out the
yeah.
scene.
So they're moving, like they're not moving necessarily maybe like in West Hollywood, although my mom does love to cut it up at a gay bar, and you know the queens do love her. But she's had some very fun nights there. We've had some good times, but you know my mom she's like a beach gal, so she wants to be in like a nice, quiet.
That's where I'm headed.
Yeah.
To the beach.
I love it. And I just feel like that, to me, if you're packing up your life, moving cross country, and you live in New Jersey where it's like snowing, and terrible, I'm like, you want to like have the California dream. That is a beach, some sort of water. So my mom and my brother, yes, their goal, they're giving themselves a deadline. They can't do another Christmas. They're moving here. So it took 10 years this year that my mom finally has made the jump to do that. And I commend her. She's never lived anywhere else other than New Jersey her whole life. So that's a big jump to do that.
I'm not just saying this because you're my friend, but the clips and the episodes are some of the funniest, if not the funniest, most real, deep,
thank you,
serious
I appreciate
moments ever.
Yeah.
And it's you know, Paul is a big part of the reason that, you know, gave me the confidence to do this, to start Chronic Couch.
Stop.
We don't see each other that much.
Yeah.
But when we do, it's like, you know, we pick up like no time has passed. And
oh yeah, you're day one. I'm like, I look out for my people. If I know you and you've always been good to me, I'm always gonna be the same back to you. That's how I always move. I know you're similar, so.
Yeah. We were on a neighborhood walk, and he kind of was just like, you got to do it.
Put yourself out there. Yeah, well, because I just feel like there's so much of like, you're a Virgo, so I'm going to speak for you in that sense. Like there's so much stewing in your mind of like so many things you want to put your hands on and touch, and you want something tangible, and then it's like the ideas start to build up, and I'm like, you just got to like start and put yourself out there. And I think that's kind of like where my mom and I, like, you know, I felt like I had a deeper purpose or yearning to like put myself out there. And I realized like, oh, I probably subconsciously started it with my mom because it felt less vulnerable having my mom with me, because it is such a vulnerable thing to put yourself out there, and you're like, I don't know if people are gonna like this, or are they gonna watch it? So when I started doing it with my mom, it then gave me more confidence to want to do things on my own without her and put myself out there. So yeah, it's interesting how those little moments can like teach you so much about yourself.
And you're booked and busy. Paul was just on Heather McDonald's Juicy Scoop.
I was so happy about that.
Which is epic.
Thanks. Yeah, I grew up watching Chelsea Lately, and like.
And she was on that, right?
Yeah. And I read her books, and like, you know, that's like those moments like when I work with somebody or I meet somebody where it's like they had some connection to me growing up, or something in my life where it makes it meaningful, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to sit across from this person who I've read all of their books and I've grown up watching them, and I'm just like I'm like, I'm talking to that, like, you know, why me? But yeah, it was very, very fun, and it was a great opportunity to like put myself out there more.
So cool.
Yeah, thank you. And this now, I get to add this to my
Let's
credentials,
go.
the Chronic
My
Couch.
little measly Chronic Couch.
Listen, I love the Chronic Couch.
Little but mighty.
That's all that matters. That's truly all that matters.
The foundation of the Chronic Couch is injury and sports. So you might be wondering, why are you having this stellar Hollywood producer on the Chronic Couch? Aside from you being a legend, we also talk about, you know, emotional trauma, your mental state, instability, of course stemming from injuries. But you have recently started opening up about, and by opening up I mean taking it to the podcast, putting it out, putting out in the ether about your relationship with your dad. What can you share, or what was your relationship like with your dad growing up?
Non-existent. So it was kind of always like a person that's kind of like in your house, but you don't really have a relationship with them. And it always kind of was like, you know, walking on eggshells, just kind of having this person there. And they, you know, my mom always kind of did her best to make up for the lack of having that parent kind of step into their role, which I think is one of the factors of like why me and my mom's relationship is as close as we are. But yeah, I have never had a solid foundation. mental health and issues and things like that are very important. That's why it's great that you acknowledge them and have a platform for them, because I'm all about that. And I think, you know, at a certain point, grown adults need to wake up and get to a point where, you know, they realize that their actions have consequences, and it just pushes people further away. So over time, as I became an adult, my mom, you know, was no longer with my dad. My brother got older. I've been able to like set boundaries of like what is good for me, because growing up, obviously, as a kid, you don't really get to know what a boundary is. You don't know how to really place them. And more recently, I have lost my grandmom, who was my dad's mom, and I was very close with her, which is ironic, just because I don't really have a relationship with him. And
Was she close with him?
yeah.
Okay.
And she always respected and understood like my stance on it, of where I stood with it, which is meaningful, I think, when you have a relationship with someone in your family, that they don't try to like coerce you into thinking a certain way or do something that's not comfortable with you. But I don't know, I felt compelled to like, I don't blocked on my phone for about like 5 years, because I had tried the route of
Wow.
expressing what has been done to me and what I would need to move forward, and I didn't receive accountability back or like a plan of action. And I just felt like for my mental health, it wasn't productive to just have, you know, these random text messages that would just stress me out or make me upset, or just, there was just no, it was just a hamster wheel, it's just circles. So after my grandma passed away, I decided to do that, and he had reached out. And it's not that I'm against having something, but I can't just ignore what has been done and just pick up. That's not who I am. I need like a lot of accountability, and I need to know like what you're doing is showing me that you have taken action to fix the things that don't work for you and other people.
Because you recently posted that, is this the recent text or reach out that you're referring to?
Yeah,
You recently
yeah.
reached out?
Yeah, he reached out. I responded back. He took a minute to get back to me. He did end up reaching back out to me. And there were, you know, like an I'm sorry, but, and I just can't really do the but part. And then I think that also comes to like a point with me where it's like, well, how realistic do I need to be to have an expectation for somebody who's just not capable of having that emotional intelligence to be aware of what they've done, right? Like, can I keep asking somebody for something that they just can't actually give me? And that's kind of where I'm at, where I need to like understand. But yeah, I don't think anybody wants to know that they're living their life and their parent is just like lonely, sad, and just like kind of a mess. Like I would like to believe to some degree have empathy, but I also can't diminish what I felt and what I've experienced just to make somebody else happy who's caused all this, right? So I'm like, hey, if you were like therapy, you were doing some deep healing work, trauma, all that stuff, I'd be like, let's go, let's break bread and do that. But I don't think that that's going to be what happens. So my expectations are very low.
I feel like both you and myself have kind of been wise beyond our years
It's
since
the Virgo in us.
is that what it is?
I like to believe it, yeah.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
And ever since I was a kid, I guess what I'm saying is I feel like the majority is maybe not your exact situation, but me having my parents who just celebrated their 41st anniversary.
That is powerful.
It is powerful, and it's not the norm. Of course, we have our shit, our stuff, but I realize even more and more what a rarity that is. And so I guess my question is, what propelled your decision in the first place to set that boundary? You just like
I just always kind of knew, yeah. No one really like taught me, like, you know, I was the one that I was like, oh, I want to start therapy. Like, no one was like, hey, do you want to go to therapy? It was just something in me that I was like, oh, I don't feel like this is being handled the right way, or this is being, you know, discussed or relayed. Like, I just don't. And I guess that's maybe like a generational thing too, but I didn't grow up in a household where like we talked about everything. I would provoke the type of questions and discussions that would make people talk about it. And I think that's like why I have a podcast with my mom, because now like my mom's in a different place where she's, you know, more comfortable and in a different place in her life where she's now looking back at things and thinking like, wow, like why did I stay with somebody for so long and you know, be treated that way and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I think it was just something that's always been in me that I just, probably because my environment, we didn't talk about those things. So now as an adult, I'm like, no, we are talking about it. We're talking about everything. Like, I don't care if it makes this person uncomfortable. If you're doing it, like, and I expect the same energy for me. I like to hold myself accountable too and be self-aware enough to know, like, if I did something that hurt somebody, I'm going to recognize that and try to fix it.
For someone who is in a similar situation to you, especially in your 30s, because that's an interesting time of your life to still be kind of navigating through this, do you find that it's a personal journey and each situation is different? And like, what would you say to someone who's kind of going through something similar? Is it like day by day? Is it put yourself first?
Well, I disdain anybody who will say, well, it's your parents, because I don't believe that. So if anybody is listening to this and has somebody say those things to them, I don't feel like that. I would say in one ear out the other. Because,
meaning like make it work because these are your only two parents you
well,
have.
it's like your dad or your mom, you know, and I don't feel like that's fair, because at the end of the day, I think you're a child, you are brought up in a world, and that is somebody's responsibility to teach you those things, to how to navigate just life, and to have somebody kind of make your life harder is not beneficial. So I feel like it's a very subjective journey for people. I would say personally for myself, it's like, do what feels the best for you. I do believe like cutting off people completely sometimes is what works the best for somebody, but sometimes for people like myself, it's like, you know, I would be lying if I said I don't stay up sometimes and think about like, what could I do, or am I doing the right thing? So I think, you know, if you're somebody like me who's like maybe a little sensitive and feels guilt in some degree, yeah, you want to try to see like, what can I do? But I'm all about putting yourself first, because the reason that somebody's probably in the situation that I am with a parent is because of their doing, and I don't feel like now later in life you should bend and conform to now please them again and make it better just for them to be happy, because that's probably what myself and other people have done for a long period of their life.
Would you say that you have followed your gut instinct this whole time, even from when you were a little kid? Like
with Hollywood and life, or just my family thing?
Maybe
or all of the above?
Maybe all the above.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a very intuitive person. Like my mom has always been like that her whole life, and I've always been like, damn, my mom's always right. And then I feel like I'd be stupid to not embrace that quality, because I think it's something that you can't really be taught. I think it's just like who you are as a person. But yeah, I feel like I've always held true to my morals, my ethics, to my boundaries, to speak up for myself. And I take pride in knowing that like I would like to believe, done that in the best possible way that I've known how. Granted, I'm sure I haven't always handled situations the best way, especially growing up, but I think as an adult, I can be proud of like being like, this relationship with this person isn't right for me. Like there's no bad blood, but it just doesn't work, right? Like there's a way to bow out, handling it with a parent, a job, something comes up. Yeah, I like to believe that I always reflect, process, and then go with my gut of what feels right.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on.
I'm so honored that you had me. Thank you for having me. I'm proud of you.
Likewise. And like I said, we don't see each other as much as probably we would like to, but I'm always rooting for you.
Likewise,
and I feel it through the ether from you. Where can people find you?
Where can people find me? I know that's right. Pimp me out so people can come on over to Hold On, I'm Calling My Mom. So you can find me, my personal stuff, at Paul Roysdon. It's my first and last name on Instagram and TikTok. You can find my podcast with my mom. We drop a new episode every Monday at 10 a.m. PST on YouTube,
so good.
Apple, Spotify. Thank you, Eric. That's sweet of you. And yeah, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok, Facebook at Hold On, I'm Calling My Mom.
Thank you, Paulie.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for having me.
Chronic Couch. We'll see you next time.